All right, welcome. This is a committee of conference of the two institutions, committees of the House and of the Senate. And it's March 10th, 2026. And we are here to discuss H.50. The Senate had some changes to it, and we received it back from the House with additional changes. And we're here to discuss those changes together. And I just want to say to the staff who is here, I'll just give you an opportunity if you want to say something, but if you do have something to say, just raise your hand if you don't mind. Okay. All right, so let's introduce ourselves. Wendy Harrison. I represent the Wyndham District.
John Benson, the Orange District. And Rob Langenson, James Gregoire, Franklin 6. Oh, you folks, Connor Casey, here my brother.
And Sean Sweeney, Shelburne, and St. George.
All lovely places. We are all fortunate to live in Vermont.
Yes, we are.
So let us start with the House explaining the changes that you made, please.
All right, we'll do the best we can. So our first change, we believe, is on line 13 of the new bill. You guys, the Senate had state-owned or state leased buildings and land. We took out or state leased. The reason we did that twofold. One, we weren't really sure what you meant by state leased. And if it means what we think it means, which is that we leased it, we don't have any control over turning it into a house or a property, right? So if we don't own it, we can't convert it, right? Because we're just leasing the space. The second thing we did was change biannually to annually. And that was in conjunction with conversations with the administration and what is current practice. So then we moved down to line like 19 and 20. We changed when requested by the commissioner back to annually for the same reason, just to make it in practice with what the administration already does, whether it's BGS or now with the Department of Housing and Community Development. So then on the opposite page, and on page number 2, we looked at your language of which is on line 5 through 7, but on your bill, I don't know because I don't have line numbers in your bill, but we changed it from commissioner whether any building is vacant or whether any land is statutory is necessary for the statutory purpose of the agency. We took out for the statutory purpose and made it for just unnecessary for state purposes. And the reason we did that is talking with Ledge Council, if I remember correctly, that not all state agencies have a clearly delineated statutory purpose that might fit this. So we made it more vague intentionally to better help the agencies comply. So then we have the effective dates, which were they're the same. Of each new biennium, which you guys had, but that was all the same. And then we added section 2, which is the reason we added section 2, which is it's language that is mirrors basically the governor's executive order, what they plan on doing right now. And we had discussed this with the Commissioner Farrell, and he felt that they were amenable to that and that it worked for them. So we tried to make everything as mirrors closely to what the administration has done and is doing and plans to do, but making it rather than a 1-year executive order, making it a 5-year thing, so that we can have a tracking mechanism, if you will, for these properties, and then we can relook at it at a future date if we want. We didn't want it to go in perpetuity or and just have it be another report to disappear. But we felt if we looked at it for like a 5-year period until 2030, it would give us an idea of what's out there. So that's basically why we did it. And of course, the reason we asked for a conference committee, we felt that it would be a lot easier for 3-on-3 to talk rather than having the whole House versus the whole Senate debate on bills.
I think you're right. That is.
So that's our story. We're second part.
Okay, good. We're not far off, which is good. So I'll just go down the list. So the state-owned buildings and land. I think I had suggested that the least be in there just so that we could know what resources the state required to do the operations of the state. That was the intent of that. Looking at the buildings as an expense, and leasing is just a different expense, a different type of expense. So that was why that was in there.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
Yeah, sorry, Senator, was the intent, we're under this, have the inventory of sort of office space that the state would be leasing with a private entity? Or was it more state-owned offices that were being leased to somebody else?
The first one.
Okay.
Because
Vermont Life.
if we lease it, then it's a state-owned building. So, right, Vermont Life, where there's a couple of buildings in Barry. Because I just have concerns about how we use our space. I want to make sure we're using our space well before we lease, because that can be more expensive.
So like a comparison of like, well, we were leasing all this space, but we're trying to get rid of the space we own. Would it make more sense to move them into something?
Exactly.
Okay, I understand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So that was the point there. Next one, we also talked about the statutory purpose of the agency and talked about it quite a bit with Wanda. We're fine with leaving that the way that you changed it. Because the intent is still very clear. And then on the inventory, we talked about the section 2 rather. Senator Benson has some suggestions about other items that we might want to include, not necessarily in this document, but that we want to at least bring to your attention because we think they're important.
So just like background, I'm a retired civil engineer, so I spent 50 years doing projects throughout New England and Vermont. And as I looked at this bill and I said, what is our objective? And if our objective really is to identify lands or buildings that could be converted into housing and done fairly quickly, this bill leaves a lot of pieces out that we would need to know. And so as we talked, it's not something that we can necessarily change in this bill, but looking forward, if we look at a companion bill in the next session or that may charge to say, what do we really need to know? And should we be trying to focus on maybe a half a dozen pieces of property that could be brought forward to both bodies that vote on to say, yeah, this has got the right zoning, it's got water there, it's got proper lands, it's not all wetland and so forth. We need A&R to weigh in a little bit. And so that there's a real desktop analysis done of the properties so that we could then bring forward and say to both of our respected bodies, here's 5 properties that we believe, and they're not necessarily in a place that doesn't need any housing. So there'd be a companion bill, so to speak, that really started to dive into the detail to get properties out there and that a developer would really be interested in purchasing from the state and converting to housing. So that was just something I wanted to bring out as maybe a next step, because this kind of creates a list, but who knows whether any of these properties really are conducive to.
We had that exact same conversation with literally somebody saying, can we get to, I don't know if it was you or not, with talking about getting the top 10 or something properties and then doing a deeper dive into them. So the intent of this bill was to get a list to even start from and then to go to what you're talking about. So it's interesting.
So this is great. Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
All right. Well, that's good. So what do you think about the lease language that's the only thing?
Yeah, I like the intention.
Okay.
It makes sense when brought from that perspective. So
Maybe it needs to be described better.
no, we know what it means.
Oh.
We maybe we should have just asked you.
I don't think we're allowed to do that, right? Okay, so then we could vote can you help me work on the language of this? Because I believe it would be that we vote with one addition of,
Yeah, I mean, I could just make the addition
Right.
and then you'd have something to vote on,
oh, so we're right, so we have to have it on paper to vote.
probably helpful.
All right.
Also, John Gray, legislative council.
My question to you is, can you do it now, or do we have to have a meeting to come back and do this?
I can probably do it now if you let me run from the room briefly and
It'd be nice.
That's-
to have a little bit.
It, for us, it's, I mean, because we'll be here tomorrow too, I mean.
You want me to run?
I hate to make everybody.
I do lots of running
Just
in this job.
Okay, yeah, if you don't
Okay.
mind, that would be great.
Cool.
So then we are adjourned, temporarily.
Thanks for the question.
I wouldn't dream.
Well, it sounds like you were here.
Thank you.